Yo, what's going on, everybody? We're gonna get started in give it like 3 minutes. We're gonna get started really shortly. What up? What up? I'm here. I am here. I'm a little late. I haven't probably dropped in about how long has it been? About a week and a half or something, man. It's been a while, man. Um, so I could not go any longer without coming here showing y'all some love, dropping a video, chopping up with you guys. NC Southbound, what's up, brother? Good morning, Candy Girl. You know what I mean? It's been a crazy week in the Panthers sphere. Um, give me a second. Let me organize my notes and the whole nine. Yeah, so how everybody doing, man? It's early, 10:24. Everybody's up and grinding. I said to rise and don't grind, you lazy as a bum. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now I don't know, man. Maybe we can cut some people some slack on a Sunday, NC Southbound. But yeah, I'm here, man. I'm here. If y'all saw yesterday, I was watching the Texans game, and just a disclaimer: this video was planned almost 3-4 days ago, so this is definitely not some CJ Stroud hype. Oh, he won a game. Let me get hyped. Um, but yeah, man, I just want to do like I did last week, like I did the retrospective of Bryce Young's rookie season. If you haven't caught that, it's definitely a good listen. We broke down game by well, we started in the pre-draft, did a quick recap of that, mini camp, training camp. Then we did a recap of every single Bryce Young game, and then we ended with some Bryce. We ended with some advanced statistics at the end. I mean, the too long didn't listen version of it is Bryce ain't shit. So, uh, if you don't have an hour to listen to that episode, then that's the takeaway from it. Uh, yeah. So we're gonna talk real heavy about CJ Stroud today. I got some numbers. And then we'll talk about the coaches. I do got some notes on some coaching candidates and everything, man. So um I'm gonna give it about a minute or and a half. I gotta go grab something, then we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right. Well, I as you guys know, if you guys see me in the Panthers spear, um, people have a knack of for not liking what I say. And I ain't gonna lie. I know I bring it on myself sometimes. I can really irk people's nerves and stuff like that. But if people wanted to beat me up for what I said on previous shit, they're gonna really hate this episode. They're gonna hate the CJ Stroud is the greatest rookie quarterback of all times episode. And guys, we're gonna, yeah, I ain't gonna, no more prelude. Let's just get into it. Let's get into it. There's five of you in here. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you guys showing up this early. We're gonna get started, man. So you know, this goes back to the previous year. It was between the Texans and the Bears, easily two of the worst teams in the league. And it was looking like everyone, no one really knew what the Bears were going to do, but everyone was kind of in the vibe that the Texans were going to get a quarterback. That's what they needed after the whole Deshaun Watson situation, and the whole situation got turned on its head when the Panthers traded up for the number one overall pick. Right now, prior to the number one overall pick being traded to the Panthers, you guys have to remember that the Vegas odds were in favor of CJ Stroud going number one overall. They were in favor of CJ Stroud going number one overall. When the Panthers traded for that first overall pick, it immediately traded. I'm switched. I'm sorry, it immediately switched. Vegas said no, number one overall is going to be Bryce Young. And there was news coming out that the Texans were enamored with Bryce Young, and if they take CJ Stroud, the Texans are going to run up there to take CJ to take Bryce Young. So they were setting us up for the okie doke. Basically, is all I'm trying to say. Um, so when we get into the progress process, you have the combine, you have the workouts. What do you call them? The team visits, the workouts, and Bryce Young didn't participate in the combine workouts, but C.J. Stroud did, and he looked. I mean, he looked great. Same thing happened in the team workouts. What's going on, Omar? Derek B, what's up, bro? So same thing happened in the team meetings. Panthers went to go CJ Stroud, CJ Stroud. Panthers went to go see Bryce Young. And I understand that I'm a little biased, but even that team workout, if y'all watched it, they televised it. With Bryce Young, it wasn't even impressive. You get what I'm saying? Um, to be honest, it almost, despite what Vegas said, it almost looked neck and neck. You know what I mean? It almost looked neck and neck as far as who the Panthers were going to draft. Then that bullshit about S2 test came out. Right. So if you guys don't know, S2 test it allows you, it's a test that supposedly is an indicator of your cognitive ability to make decisions in a changing environment, pretty much, right? It measures your processing power. Um, it's yeah, the way a player reacts and processes information that are relevant to their sport. So the word is CJ Stroud bombed. Well, they never came out and said CJ Stroud, but from the context clues and then the way CJ Stroud responded to it, we know it was CJ Stroud. It was a few days later that the creators or the owners of the company, Young Mello, what's up, bro? Um, Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Bryce Young wasn't even thought of as a number one pick until we got it. The shit just came out of nowhere. Um, so the people who create the company that created the S2 test that has the contract with the NFL, they came out and they started talking about CJ Stroud well, without talking about them, they basically said that, hey, there was someone that came in and, they were tired and hungry, and, they've performed badly. And I don't know why he said that, because people ran with that. Oh, he's hungry. What is he going to do in the game when he's hungry? What is he going to do in the game when he's tired? People just went off on that, right? But the gentleman would say that, listen, that guy performed poorly. We gave him an opportunity to retest, and he actually performed uh, well on the retest, right? But to be damned, once something's printed, the correction is, the first version is seen by millions of people, and the correction is seen by thousands. People already got this narrative in your head, and then for some reason, people started to say shit like, Bryce processing ability, right? Um, yeah, not mine was a day before. Oh, Kenny girl, happy birthday. I'm not gonna ask you how old you are. um, you know, where was I? So yeah, with the S2 test, people started to run with it. They started to really do this whole thing that Bryce's processing ability, Bryce's processing ability, right? And to you guys, I watched a lot of Bryce Young's, college tape, and I didn't see the processing. I didn't get it. I just don't get it. You know, I almost feel like, and this is just an opinion, I almost feel like when you don't have anything, like when you can't pinpoint any good trait someone has, you just kind of go to the something that's not tangible and not easily proven, that, oh, he processes well, right? Because if anything, he didn't process quickly in college. I mean, he held the ball, he kind of waited for guys to get wide open. I just didn't see that. I don't know where that narrative. Candy Girl 47, okay. I'm not ashamed to say life is good. That's a fact. I love it. Happy belated birthday to you. Um, they only said processing because they couldn't do anything else. Yeah, young Mello, I'm giving you a word salad, man. But that's kind of what I'm saying, man. Because you can't. I mean, you can't unprove that he's smart, right? So so I think it's kind of on that shit, because Bryce didn't have the arm strength. He didn't have this. He didn't have the speed. There was just no physical trait that really he processed them checkdowns to Gibbs. Yeah, man. There it be. I pointed that out, man. I mean, almost 1,000 yards went to Jameer to Gibbs. And actually, if you guys watch my episode where I mentioned that I called it the episode's called post Bryce syndrome. And I pointed out that every receiver he's ever played with had their worst efficiency. And when you go look at Gibbs, because Gibbs transferred from another team, so his first year he was on another team, and then he transferred to Alabama. And if you go look at his, his yards per reception and all that stuff like that, it went down under Bryce. So every receiver that's ever played under Bryce has saw a regression in efficiency. So that's important to remember. And before I really get deep into this, man, I'm gonna drop the link. I got a long soliloquy, man. I got a lot to talk about, man. But if you guys just care to jump on and talk again, the way I kind of do it, I kind of got like an hour's worth of material, maybe more, to kind of talk through a whole show. But if someone wants to come on and talk, we'll do that. And then if it goes on too long, I'll kind of break the episode up into two parts, and do it like that. But generally, I pull a lot of information and a lot of stats, man, before I hit this play button, man. So uh, it's just the nature of the format that I use, uh, for this channel. It's research and heavily information based, but I try to add in the part where I'm chopping it up with you guys. Give me a second. Let me drop this in the chat. So yeah, the word started to be that CJ Stroud, this whole S2 test, and man, and, he didn't do himself a favor on how he responded to the S2 test allegations. What did he say? I'm a football player, and I'm a football player, not a test taker. I mean, I feel him. It's a factual statement, but in this world, man, where you make a statement like that, people are gonna run with it. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, yeah. Candy girl, I'm about to get there in about 30 or 40 minutes. We're gonna talk about just the differences and the way they play. And you know, actually, let's talk about that. I want to talk about something else real quick before I even get into CJ Stroud and the numbers. I had the displeasure of watching that Bryce Young highlight tape. Well, I'm lying. It's like 19 minutes long. I watched about 5 minutes of it, right? I couldn't take no more of it. You know what I mean? Um, you know, bunch of wide receivers getting missed, inaccurate passes, uh, wide open receivers that have to break their route because Bryce Young is throwing inaccurate, deep passes that are open, but guys got to like slow down and turn around for the ball. You guys were there for the CJ Stroud, you know, playoff game, and if you hadn't had if you guys are just watch CJ Stroud in highlights, you got to watch him throw every single throw last week. There's a monumental difference between CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. Forget who's getting open, right? If there's a wide receiver with 20 yards of separation and you had CJ Stroud and Bryce Young throw to the same guy, that ball is going to look completely freaking different. CJ Stroud is just miles ahead of Bryce Young. But yeah, let's get back to it. Yeah, so basically his stock starts falling for just no reason, basically, just some rumors or well, in the media, his stock is falling, right? Um, so I was at the come draft day, I was at the stadium, and I was at the stadium, and I was there when they drafted Bryce Young. I was upset. I walked out. I knew we made a mistake. I immediately knew we made a mistake. Uh, and but it's all good. And I try to get on the Bryce Young train, and especially in training camps, they're throwing in their shorts, and Adam Thielen's coming out talking about how well he's processing, and how well he's giving them the ball, his timing, his accuracy, and I'm like, I got concerns, but you guys were there, man. I was getting kicked off platforms based off the shit I was saying, man. So um, we roll into preseason, right? Um, CJ Stroud, uh, CJ Stroud offensive line was completely banged up. It was completely banged up all preseason. I don't say that to make an excuse for him because there's no excuses to be made. In the preseason, CJ Stroud, um, how many series did I write down? How many series did he? 8 series. He played 8 series in the preseason. So 3 games, 8 series. He goes 11 for 18, 89 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That one interception, the Bryce stands were really holding on to that because Bryce Young technically was the of those 4 quarterbacks that were all like on the top of the class. Bryce Young was the only one to not throw an interception in the preseason, right? Even though the 11 for 18, and the touchdown, overall, all his stats were a little bit better. But we're talking about 18 throws in 3 series, right? So we're just talking about the preseason. But overall, I thought CJ Stroud looked better. I thought CJ Stroud was under more pressure, and that became a reoccurring theme all through the season. Um, so CJ Stroud, let's get into the week one. Comes into the week one, as the starter. And let's let me say this. The Texans did it right because the Texans didn't immediately name CJ Stroud the starter over Davis Mills. They made CJ Stroud earn it, and he earned it. He took the starting job, right? Which he should have done, but he did it, right? And I say that to say that I don't think Bryce would have taken the starting job from Andy Dalton if given a fair competition. But with that said, um, so Bryce Young goes into his first game against the Ravens, a really good, a really really good opponent. You know what I mean? A hell of a test for your rookie debut. And CJ Stroud completes 63% of his passes, 242 yards, no touchdown, no interception. I'm not going to keep bringing up Bryce, but you understand that if Bryce had a game like that, what we'd be looking at. Week 2 versus the Colts, we're starting to see it now. We're starting to see it now because he completed 380. He had 384 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception, completed 63.8% of his passes. Now we're like, whoa, that game he had a QBR of 103. And let me backtrack here real quick because I got it in my notes here. I skipped over it. We have to remember that Woods was about 4 years. Robert Woods is about 4 years removed from a Pro Bowl. Hasn't really done much in the league since then. Nico Collins, the number one target, the first couple of, basically his number one target, has never had more than 44 catches in a season in 3 years. Tank Dell is a rookie who was drafted after Jonathan Mingo. So the narrative starts to be he's only doing well because he has the weapons. And I went and looked back, and you got to look at different periods because it shifts a little bit. But PFF and other independent writers and stuff like that, the consensus before the season is that the Texans generally had a bottom 3 receiving core in the NFL. If you look back around June-ish, PFF ranked them the worst. In the same list, they ranked us like middle tier. We were like low 20s. It fluctuates, but the consensus is the Texans have bad receivers. They don't have any weapons. That's the consensus. Just the point I wanted to bring up because, a lot of people wanted to start trying to explain away his success as he started to have it. So we talked about, he went to play the Jaguars, 28 yards, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 66% completion rate, a quarterback rating of 118. I mean, this dude he's out of here. Plays the Steelers, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now we're in the territory now. Now he's broken the record for the most throws by a rookie quarterback without throwing an interception. We're going to get into all the records later. Plays the Falcons, 249, 1 touchdown, no interception. The Saints, 199, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. QB rate of 88.9. It's a good game, but it's not the spectacular shit we've been seeing. He plays now. He's on fire. He's on fire. Now, this is the shout out to my man Unc 2020. He says this is the politic game. The politic game. CJ Stroud comes to Carolina to play the Panthers, right? And Bryce Young has a mad game. He actually crossed over 200 yards. It was one of his best games, but it was kind of mad, right? Um, that game, the Panthers have the number three overall defense, number three versus the pass, number three overall, number three versus the pass, and we're somewhere shitty against the run. We're in the 20s. But, we were able to stop CJ Stroud. He had one of his not one of his he had his worst game to date. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks into the season, he has his worst game against the Panthers. And by worst game, I mean we're talking 140 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, completing 66% of his passes. That's the kind of game that people would have celebrated if Bryce Young would have had. People would have celebrated if Bryce Young had 140 yards, 66.7% completion, no touchdowns, no interceptions. People would have said he's getting better, right? So that's the game he had against the Panthers. Yeah, facts. That's the game he had against the Panthers. Now, at this point, prior to this, CJ Stroud is fourth in the league in passing. He's fourth in the league in passing. He's averaging about 1.1. Yeah, it was 1.1 less sacks per game than Bryce Young. 1.1 less sacks per game from than Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is worse in the league in passing, and CJ Stroud is fourth. Right. We're talking a difference at this point. We're talking a difference of 10 sacks. So, shout out to the people that say, it's the protection. And at this time currently, the number one passer in the league is your boy in Washington, who was the most sacked quarterback in the league, who still is the most sacked quarterback in the league, or who finished the season as the most sacked quarterback in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Let me yeah, I believe so. I don't have to look it up. If not, he's second or whatever, because I know he spent some time on the bench or whatever. Eastside Hero 2.0, what's up, bro? So yeah, that's the that's the politic game. The narrative started to be, what Bryce Young beat CJ Stroud or whatever, but look, the defense held it down. And really, Bryce Young during that game, and I know this is CJ Stroud, but Bryce Young to that game, um, what we saw so far, Bryce Young wasn't, when we got the ball, we were on the 25, and Bryce Young needed to do a 75-yard drive for the win. We had not seen that from Bryce Young. We had seen it multiple times from CJ Stroud. A lot of these games I mentioned, we're talking things like, 70 seconds left in the game, CJ Stroud has to have a game-winning drive. He had orchestrated 3 or more game-winning drives up to this point. It's clear that this is in his blood. This is in his vein. A1, what's up, bro? This is in his veins. So to see Bryce Young do that drive against the Texans to get the win, to get the go ahead score was good to see. It was progress, right? From the pits of hell, to the surface, it was progress, right? Um, so yeah, he has his worst game by the against us, but the following week he's back on track, and he's back on track in a big way, in a monumental way. CJ Stroud breaks the record for the most passing yards in a game by a rookie. So I mean, it's eye popping. I mean, he he completed 60. This is against the Bucks, guys. Against the Bucks, he completed 71.4% of his passes for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 147% 0.8 QB rating. 5 touchdowns, 470 yards. No rookie in NFL history has ever thrown for that much in a game. When we up until this point, we knew we were looking at a good quarterback. We knew we were looking at a very good, one day is going to be an elite quarterback. And then all of a sudden, when the next couple of weeks, you start realizing, and you look back to at him not throwing an interception, breaking that record, you start to realize, like, no, this dude is special. This is different. So CJ Stroud demolishes the Buccaneers. The following week, he goes on to play the Bengals. Now, he completed 59% of his passes, but he threw for 356 yards, one touchdown, one interception. If you've been keeping track, that's his second interception on the season. Second interception on the season. Guys, give me a second. I'm doing a lot of talking in this one, man. Got a little dry mouth, man. I need to get something to drink. So we talked about the Bengals. 356, one touchdown, one interception. November 19th, Cardinals. Now, it's CJ Stroud, still got the yardage, 336, two touchdowns. He threw three interceptions. He threw three interceptions in this game. All right. Three interceptions, that puts him at 5 for the season. That's his last interception of the season. Let that sink through your head. On November the 19th, CJ Stroud threw his last interception on the season. He would not throw another one the whole season. Need I remind people, this is a team that won 7 games in the past 2 years. He's transforming them. Now they're looking like a playoff team. They're in, so statistically, they're well within the race of winning their division and being a playoff team. So threw 3 interceptions, but bounced back really nicely the next week. The next week versus the Jaguars, 72% completion rate, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Broncos. Against the Broncos, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 274 yards. CJ Stroud is killing it. He's killing it, right? Back to normal. Now, the Jets, he plays an elite defense in the Jets. He gets injured in this game. Up until that point, he was completing 43% of his passes, 91 yards, except I think he got injured in the first quarter. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong about that. He got injured in the first quarter of that game. He completed 90. He had 91 yards and a QB rate of 54. Now, need I remind you that Bryce Young had 97 yards for a whole game, his last game. Just put some perspective to the situation. So he gets hurt, and he sits 2 weeks, concussion protocol. Yeah, I forgot about that. It was a monsoon rain game too, and he got hurt. He sits 2 weeks with concussion protocol. Then he comes back versus the Texans. 213 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Colts, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Ended the season with the Browns. 274 yards, 76.2 completion percentage. And guys, let me backtrack 3 weeks. Let me backtrack. So CJ Stroud comes back from injury 2 weeks later. I told you versus the Titans, 213 yards and a touchdown. He completed 75% of his passes. The following week versus the Colts, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. He completed 76.9% of his passes. The last game of the season versus the Browns, 76.2% of his passes were completed for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. We're looking at something special. This is beyond weapons. That was the end of his season, guys. To conclude his season, he completed 63.9% of his passes, 4,108 yards. He fell about 200 yards short of the rookie passing record, which is 43 and some change. He missed 2 games. I.e., if he would have played 1 game, he would have probably shattered the record. If he had played the 2 that he had, you know what I mean? Definitely easily walk through it. So 4,108 yards. Remember, Bryce Young didn't get him cross 3,000. 5 touchdowns, the best touchdown interception ratio in rookie history. QBR 108. A special season, guys. Just a special season. Now, me rattling off the numbers to you guys does nothing to prove my point that he had the greatest rookie QB season of all times. It's a good season. 23 and 20, 23 and 5. You know, it's a very, very good season. So what I did is, I wanted to bring up some of the greatest rookie seasons of all times. And I wanted to walk you through them one by one. I told you guys we're going to be here for a little minute. I had to get something to drink. We're going to be here for a minute. I'm going to show you how CJ Stroud stacks, against, the great rookie QBs of the past, right? And I think the Texans won 3 games last year. I might need a Texans fan to correct me, but he took the team 11-7. We're talking about a team that's won 7 games in 2 years. He took them 11-7. And one of the things is that we got to remember is that when he was out those 2 weeks, they kind of returned back to being one of the worst teams in the NFL. It quickly became a different team. All right. So we are at the point where we are going to talk about some of the greatest rookie seasons of all times. I wanted to start with Ben Roethlisberger. And this is subjective. This is a list that I kind of pulled off the top of my head. And if I miss somebody, guys, let me know. But I think I pretty much got, the good ones. I did it based on numbers and team success, or just try to mix in a mixture of both, right? So the first person I have on my list is Ben Roethlisberger, 2004 year, right? He ended up playing 14 games. The starter went out, and then he came in and the starter never got the starting job back again. He 14 games. He appeared in 14 games. He started 13 of them, right? Ben Roethlisberger went 13-0. Right. Now, granted, if you guys been watching football for a while, you guys understood the makeup of that team. Troy Polamalu, Harrison. I mean, the team was loaded on defense. It was a running team. Willie Parker and Jerome Bettis. I mean, he had a lot of help. So much help that he only passed for 2,621 yards, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had a QB rate of 98. And he won Rookie of the Year, right? So not a lot of yards. And I remember watching that, and there was games where Ben Roethlisberger could can, only throw, in the teens, like 14 passes kind of games. You know what I mean? Like low teens type of stuff, you know. Um, uh, so, and Tommy Maddox, that's what it was. I wrote it down. Uh, and then he goes on the team because he went 13-0. The team went 15-1. Um, and they end up losing in the divisional playoffs to the Patriots, right? But very good and from a team aspect. Number two on my list, you guys know I was going to mention it, Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton, 4,051 yards, broke the rookie record for passing yards, right? Uh, broke the rookie record for passing yards, which was then later broken by Andrew Luck, which I believe was broken again by your boy for the Chargers. Now, so Cam Newton threw for 4,051 yards. CJ Stroud threw for 4,108 yards. So CJ Stroud had more passing yards than Cam Newton did. So he would have re-broke the record if it was a record. Cam Newton had 21 passing touchdowns. For those 21 passing touchdowns he had, Cam Newton threw 17 interceptions. So there were some games with Cam Newton, for all the spectacular he gave you, there was a lot of 2-3 interception games from him. His QB rate was 84%. He did tack on 706 rushing yards, which was a rookie record at the time, but later broken. Offensive Player of the Year, but ultimately the team went 6-10, 6-10, and this is a team that has Steve Smith in the whole nine, significantly better than anything CJ Stroud has to work with. So number two on my list for the greatest rookie QBs of all times. Number three, I got Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck had, and let me get this right, guys, because I don't think the guy from the Chargers broke it. I think Andrew Luck still has the record. Andrew Luck, um, record for most passing yards in a season, rookie. Yeah. Andrew Luck still has it. You know what I mean? Andrew Luck has it. Andrew Luck's first. Justin Herbert is second. And then CJ Stroud is third all times. And CJ Stroud missed 2 games. Just to put some perspective for you guys, right? So, Andrew Luck, so Andrew Luck had a little bit of both. He had the success, he had the numbers. 4,375 yards, 16 starts. They went 11-5. Now he did complete sub 60% of his passes. Right? What did you say, Rockhead? Bryce Sextral's mostly Bama fans trying to keep the faith in him in this game. Yeah, you know what? That's kind of what I kind of come to expect, man. Is that a lot of his it's kind of an interesting phenomenon, man. A lot of people have separated from Panther fandom to becoming Bryce fans, and I think there's a little bit of carryover from Alabama. You hit it right on the head, man. But yeah, one of the things is that the Colts basically, Andrew Luck completed less than 60% of his passes, but 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He threw a lot of picks, guys. Threw a lot of picks. Damn near almost a 1-to-1 ratio, 23 for 18. End up losing in the wild card, so he didn't win a playoff game this rookie year. The next one on my list, Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin comes in second overall pick. He was picked after Andrew Luck. Perhaps had a better season than him. 3,200 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a QB rate of 102, which is the rookie record, is what I pulled. 815 rushing yards, which is also the rookie record, 7 touchdowns. and he made the Pro Bowl. They went 9-6 that year, and then he ended up losing in the wild card as well. You got to mention Russell Wilson, right? That team was stacked. Run game, Legion of Boom, the whole nine. Russell Wilson started 16 of 16 games, and this is, they had Matt Flynn, so they didn't know this guy they got in the third round was going to come in and take the job, but he did. He did. So, he ended up throwing for 26 passing touchdowns. Um, at the time, that reset the rookie record. 10 interceptions, 100 QB rate, 489 yards, and he made the Pro Bowl and Offensive Rookie of the Year. He made Offensive Rookie of the Year. Um, I think. Let me look this up. It doesn't matter. They didn't. They got. I can't remember if they got exited out um, in the first round or the second round of the playoffs that year. Um, yeah, it doesn't matter. But basically, let's. I'm pretty sure it was a wild card exit for Russell Wilson. Uh, I got Dak Prescott next on my list, guys. Dak Prescott, 2016 year. Uh, and again, a lot of great receivers on this team. 16 games he started. He completed 3,667. He had 3,667 yards, 23 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 104 QB yard. So very, very, very good year. Granted, 3,600 yards, well below some of these guys that I mentioned above. But good efficiency. And then they had the run game with Ezekiel Elliott and the whole nine. Um, you know, and then you guys don't laugh at me on this one, man. I had to mention it. I had to mention it. You know what I mean? I had to mention that Baker Mayfield had one of the greatest rookie seasons of all times. I know, and some of you guys might not know this, but he came in and he set the league on fire, guys. So uh, he started 13 games. Started 13 games, uh, 3,725 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, which he broke the rookie record for passing touchdowns. He threw 14 interceptions with his 27 his 27 his 27 touchdowns, and of the 13 starts, he went 6-7. So not a lot of success as far as wins, but Baker Mayfield put up the numbers on a team that went 0-16 the year before. So 0-16 team, he comes in, breaks the rookie passing record. So hey, that's a good thing. You know what I mean? They went 7-8-1. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that they had damn, I can't even remember, man. Who was that receiver that always kept getting hurt? I was not hurt, but suspended. Uh, it's gonna bother me, guys. I didn't even think to even talk about this when I brought it up. So him and Justin Blackman would just continuously be suspended. So I will say this before I find this guy. They had Jarvis Landry, who was fresh off a 100-yard, um, the previous season. He had 100 receptions with Miami the previous season. David Njoku was kind of just coming into his own. Um, Nick Chubb was on the team. Uh, who was that? Antonio Galloway. Who was that receiver that I'm thinking about? Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon, who only played like 2 games though. So I can't. I can't make that excuse. But yeah, Josh Gordon, one of those guys that was a very elite receiver, but just could never stay on the field. But yeah, I mean, he had a lot of support. But that here, no, just you know, even with the support, I'm not making excuses for the season. 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and winning 6 games still isn't better than what CJ Stroud put together. Um, so number the last one on my list is Justin Herbert. It's 2020 season. 15 games, 15 starts, 4,336 passing yards, a hair short of the passing record, 31 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He went 6-9 as a starter. 6-9. Um Basically, where did they go as a team? Did I write this down? Give me a second. Let me look through my notes. Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't write down what they went, but he went. Well, they couldn't have made the playoffs. They couldn't have been good, So that yeah, of those 15 games, 6-9 is what he went. And then he fell 38 yards short of the rookie passing record. I mean, that's it. When you talk about the great rookie quarterbacks of all times, man, these are the guys. These are the guys. And you combine all this with the campaign that CJ Stroud just put up to, it's not even comparable, guys. You get what I'm saying? I mean, just from if you talk about the wins, he pushed this team to 11-5. Check the yardage, right? 200 yards of the 200 short of the rookie passing record, despite missing 2 games. The passing. Matter of fact, let's get into the records that CJ Stroud broke. Now, on the franchise level, um, I was surprised to see that he broke the passing rookie record, 4,108 yards, because they did have Deshaun Watson, and I thought he had an amazing rookie season, but he broke that for the Texans on a franchise level. And then on the franchise level, most passing touchdowns for a rookie. These franchise records aren't really impressive. What's really impressive is the NFL records, right? Um, Now, correction. I brought up the touchdown interception ratio, and I said it was for a rookie. Um, it's an NFL record. Most passing attempts without an interception it's a rookie. I'm sorry. Most passing touchdowns without an interception to start your career. 191 passes without throwing a touchdown. That record belongs to CJ Stroud. Also, most games with at least 350 passing yards for a rookie. He's tied with 3. He had 3 games for 350 yards or more. Most passing yards in a single game by a rookie, 470. He has that record. Most passing touchdowns in a single game by a rookie. It's a tie, but he has it. 5. There's no way you can tell me that we're not looking at the greatest rookie quarterback of all times. Now, he takes all this success. He takes all of this success into the wild card game versus the number 1 defense in the NFL in the Browns. And CJ Stroud demolishes them. Most of those guys on the list that I named had first round exits. They didn't make the playoffs, or they barely squeaked into the playoffs, and they didn't deliver a playoff win for their team. CJ Stroud did that. Yesterday, CJ Stroud went 16 of 21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And the reality is, this could have easily been a 400-yard game for CJ Stroud, but the game was over early. The defense, his energy permeated through the team. The defense started rocking. They got, was it 2 pick sixes? he pretty much put his feet up in the after the first few minutes of the second half. I mean, CJ Stroud is on fire. Going into the divisional round of the playoffs against the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken, guys. I mean, the way we're seeing CJ Stroud in the season and then play that first wild card game, it's very likely he could win this. There's been rookies that have gotten to the AFC Championship game. Shout out to Ben Roethlisberger. He's on the one that made it there. The only other rookie that's made it there was Mark Sanchez, but we're not going to put him on the list of the greatest rookie seasons of all times. We understand that run game and that defense is what got him there. Mark Sanchez didn't really do anything too amazing, but he's done it all, from the numbers to the success to just single-handedly turning his team around. We are looking at the greatest rookie season of all times, guys. Hands down. 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and took a 2-win team on his back to 11 wins, guys. That's all I had for you guys. You know what I mean? Let me know if you agree or disagree. This was one of the funnest episodes and the most fun research I've done so far, man. I really enjoyed it. And just watching CJ Stroud, it really just shows, we got the wrong guy. There's a major difference between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and it has very little to do with who's getting open and who's not. And let me not go off on another tangent, but yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys pulling up. I did have some content as far as all the coaches, and that we've interviewed and my thoughts on coaches, and I was going to get into all that, but this one, as I expected, ran a really long time. So I'll get into that next week. I will say this, you know what I mean? Slovic, offensive coordinator for the Texans. Don't be surprised if that's our new head coach. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if David Tepper's sitting at home right now thinking, I'm going to get him to do what he did for CJ Stroud. So you heard it here first, guys. So, hey, appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Peace, man.